Because you could look up a job, you could see the responsibilities, you could see all these things and be like, oh, I really like this thing, I really like that thing, and then get into the job after you get your 4-year degree and don't like it. So you want to go to college, but you don't know what you want to go to college for, but you don't want to make the mistake of choosing the wrong major and then getting into a job that you don't like. Well, in this video, I'll help you hopefully figure out what do you want to major in college. So first, do not think about a job, do not think about a degree. We're gonna go all the way back to your childhood and possibly even now. I want you to think about what makes you different, right? What are some of the things that you do that they could be very minute, they could be very big, that make you different. Oftentimes people may like ridicule you a little bit about them, not necessarily in a bad way, but they just may say little things about it, or things that possibly growing up you really like to do. Not growing up necessarily who you wanted to be, but more so what you like to do. So, you know, you might have wanted to be a lawyer when you were younger. You might want to be a doctor when you were younger, or different things like that. It's not necessarily that, but it was who you genuinely were. So for me, for example, I was a big talker. I always used to get talked too much on my report card. And I also was always in everyone's business. They used to always be like, Shamaya's always in grown folks' business. I will always just want to know everything. And so that is kind of what made me different. And sometimes people would do little ridicules about it. You know, when I got to high school and stuff like that with social media, like, oh, well, Shamaya always knows what's going on with the celebrities. And Shamaya always knows. And it's important that you pay attention to those little things, right? And they can be even something as small as, for example, one of my friends, she always, every time we go on a trip, she's very analytical when it comes to her outfits. She literally makes entire mood boards on what outfit she's gonna wear, what bag she's gonna wear with what shoes, what this she's gonna wear with that. And she really likes that. Like that whole organizational piece of doing that, she really likes that. And every so often, we make little jokes like, oh my gosh, you're so extra. Oh my gosh, da, 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 like just little things, but that's genuinely what she likes to do. It's something that makes her different. Think about the things that make you just a little bit different, or things that people necessarily around you don't all do, but you may do. And it is gonna take you maybe a little bit of time to start becoming aware of those things, but pinpoint things that you like to do, especially when you were a child, because that's before anyone told you it was wrong to do anything, or you're too old for that, or you need to be serious. Like when you were just fun and like just you didn't have any care in the world. Pay attention to those little things, right? So now that you figured out what are 2-3 things, whatever about yourself that you it just reminds you of you, you're literally just gonna go into Google and type in jobs for people who like blank, or jobs for people who do blank. So for example, even talking about my friend, right? She's very analytical, she's very like organizational, right? She loves to organize. Literally, I typed in, what are jobs for people who like to organize? They showed things such as a project manager. They showed things such as a visual merchandiser. People who literally do what she does for a living. When we go on vacation and she likes to organize her outfits and do all those things to make everything look nice, there are people who you literally do that for a living, where they organize the visuals that we see for clothes. So anytime you are out and about and you see clothes, or you see stands, inside of stores or whatever, there are individuals who get paid to do those things. And the reason why I really want you to pinpoint, what you like to do is because a lot of times, for example, her liking to be organizational, we think of those things as just being us. We don't think of them as careers. We think of careers as being something outside of us, something that like we're called upon to do, or something that we feel like it's right for us to do. But a lot of times it's really the things that we really already do, and they make us different, or things that people, you get what I'm saying? Like I said, maybe ridicule you about, or just things that are usually the things that you genuinely want to do. I feel like it's oftentimes, people will tell us we should do things, or we do things for money. But I think with this exercise, I want you just to do that. Look up jobs that have to do with what you genuinely like to do. What field is that? What are individuals doing? And you probably can find 10, 15, 20, depending on what you like to do, or different things you like to do, of jobs. Out of all of those, I want you to read the description of those, and then I want you to pick 3 or 2 or 3. I mean, some of you may only find 1, and that's you like, this is perfect. This is really what I want to do. But find between 2 to 3, I really recommend. Then I want you to go to on Indeed, the website where you look for jobs. I want you to type those jobs into Indeed because you're gonna figure out two major things. First, you're gonna figure out what are some of the requirements and the responsibilities of that job. So sometimes you may see a summary of a job and you may be like, oh, well, I like this and I really would like that and it's something I would like. On Indeed, these are literally job employers that are trying to employ people who are currently in that field right now. What are people who are currently getting jobs in that field right now required to do, to know, to be responsible for? And that will help you get a better understanding if you genuinely like that thing as well, because now you're able to see, okay, they have a responsibility of doing this, they have a requirement of doing that. Are these things that I really would like to do? That's a great one. And the second big thing is going to help you figure out is how much are these individuals getting paid? Now, I did mention a little bit earlier, don't necessarily always do things for money, but there is a certain level of money that is required for you to know, because there's a certain life that you want for yourself. We all have a certain life that we want for ourselves. And disclaimer, you're young. I promise y'all, I'm young too. I'm 23, turning 24, but I promise you it is going to change. The life that I wanted for myself when I was 18, the things that I thought I wanted as far as like my house and cars and stuff, definitely has changed. But I say that to say, be idealist, right? Think of, where do you want to live? What kind of car do you want to drive? Think of these things and then figure out if the job that you want to have, are you going to be able to get those things? Because I get that you want to do some of these things, and like I said before, do things that you genuinely want to do, your heart generally yearns you to do. But sometimes even with those things, you can pivot. There are certain careers that you could work that career 6, 7, 8 years, you're not going to make as much money. And for some people, that's fine. They're like, listen, I don't need this big condo. I don't need this. I don't need that. Living in this kind of neighborhood with this kind of car is fine for me. That's great. But if you're an individual and you look up, hey, within, 5, 6 years, I'm still not making, the average person I see is still not making how much I want to make, then that's when you can zoom into that career and figure out what are other things inside of that career that you can do, if that makes any sense. Like, don't go off the walls and be like, all right, see, this is why I have to become this. This is why I have to do that. No, stay in that zone. Now you have a category of things that you like, right? Contrary to things that people want you to do or things that make money. You have a category, and all you have to do is just broaden it a bit. So this specifically, they don't make that much money, but if I pivot it and do this, I'll make more money. And also understand your first 1 to 2 years, you're making very much so minimum pay in a lot of careers. There's a lot of potential to make more money, but just be aware of that. But that's why I want you to be aware of how much money you want to make for the life that you want to live. And then what are some of the responsibilities of that specific job. And then also another thing too, this is not necessarily for like majors or anything, but look up, if you say you want to live in Miami in a high rise, you say you want to live in this area, that area. Also, it will be good to look up how much money it costs to live in these areas too. I feel like sometimes we just assume, oh, this is enough, or that's not enough, or da-da-da. Literally look it up. See how much money, if you were living in a certain area, how much you would pay a month. Like, figure out, like, is this enough money really to sustain for the life that I want to live? That's just a little disclaimer. So once you've done that, then you could figure out what kind of degree you would need to get these kind of jobs. Now, you can probably also find that on Indeed. Once you go to the bottom, usually of the description of their requirements, they will tell you like, oh, you need this degree or that degree. But that's kind of like the last thing that you have to find out, right? So after you found out what you genuinely like to do and what you want to do, that's when you find out the degree that is required to do this thing. Some things are more broader degrees, some things are more specific degrees, but that's the last thing. I think sometimes people do it reverse. They figure out a degree and then they're like, okay, well, what job should I get? No, figure out what job you want to get. Figure out what you genuinely like to do. Figure out what you genuinely feel like you will make a comfortable living doing, and then figure out the degree that you want to get. And the final most important thing that I wanted to tell you guys, and this is imperative to do, and I wish people would have told me to do this when I was in college, get real world experience / internships. Now I get it, you're probably young, you're possibly in high school or, freshman in college. And sometimes it could be a little bit harder when you're younger to get internships, but I definitely would type up internships for college freshmen in blank city. internships for high school seniors, internships for high schoolers in blank city. It's very imperative that you get real world experience, because you could look up a job, you could see the responsibilities, you could see all these things and be like, oh, I really like this thing, I really like that thing, and then get into the job after you get your 4-year degree and don't like it. One of the worst things that can happen to you is that you do not get experience, so you're just assuming, like have the assumption that I like this thing. I'm assuming I like that thing. No, you don't know. You're not actually gonna know until you experience something. Like you can't know you truly don't like something or you do like something until you experience it. And I think that's imperative. Whether you're one of those people that's like, I know what I wanna go to college for, I know what I wanna do, still get an internship. And whether you're one of those people that's like, I don't really know what I wanna do, especially get an internship, right? It's just imperative to get experience doing that thing, because our minds can betray us. We can think we like something because other people, even you might know somebody in that field and you may be like, oh, I like what she does, I like what he does. Or somebody can tell you, oh, my job does this, and you know, you're great at this, I think you'll be great at my job. And you may think that that's good for you. You may think that you're good at that, you may like that thing, and you get to the job and you don't like it. So internships are imperative to figure out what you genuinely like. And maybe you do like a certain field, but maybe you're like, I like doing this inside the field. That's happened to me before too. I've had an internship before where I specifically went there for one area of the job, but then I started getting like exposure to another area, and I was like, wait, no, I think I like this a little bit more. So that's imperative for you to do. Now, I know, you know, National Decision Day is coming up, but I also want to remind y'all that you make your decision once you decide to submit all them applications and submit all the financial aid stuff. So you have the entire summer to make your decision. You have the entire summer to switch. And even your freshman year, another thing to be aware of is your freshman year is kind of like your trial year. So you can try different things out. You can honestly switch your major as many times as you want. Not recommending that, but your freshman year, you do a lot of things called your prereqs. So the minimum things that you have to do. So your freshman year, if you're a nursing major, you're gonna probably take classes with communications major. Communications majors, you're gonna take classes with business majors. Because everyone's freshman year, they all kind of do the same classes. It's once you get into your sophomore year that they become more specific. So it's imperative that you get an understanding as quickly as possible to what you genuinely like to do. And when it comes to these internships, another thing I wish people told me about, and I know some of y'all gonna be like, ugh, I don't want to hear that, but unpaid internships are worth money. When I was younger, I was always worried about paid. I want a paid internship. I want a paid. If you can get a paid internship, that's great. But at the end of the day, the experience is so much better. People don't be wanting to do 8-week internships, 12-week internships because they're unpaid, but you want to do this thing for 8+ years, 12+ years. What if you don't like it? And it's like, I get it. You know, you want to spend time with your friends. I get it. You want to get paid. You want to have your hair done, your nails done. For some people, you know, they can't do that. They have to make money to have food on the table, to different things like that. I understand that. I would never say don't, you know, go hungry or anything. But at the same time, if you're someone who knows you don't necessarily need money to have food on the table, you don't necessarily need money to have, you know, basic supplies, you're just doing it more so for once, like getting your hair done or your nails done, things like that, I definitely would recommend to even do unpaid internships. Like, I know they could be a lot, especially if you have a job already, but trust me, the experience is worth it. The ability to say I genuinely like doing this thing or I genuinely don't like doing this thing is so imperative. And there's a lot more benefits that come with internships, but that's something that I wish people told me, because I was always like, I'm not doing this internship, it's unpaid. And it's like, it would have paid to get that experience, but I didn't get it. So there's that. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming to the video. And if you guys would like any other videos that have to do with, you know, how to figure out what college you genuinely want to go to, how to just tips and tricks for how to navigate college in general, whether you're a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, a senior, things of that sort, and then getting into the work field, things that will benefit you during college, or things I definitely would recommend to do that I wish people told me to do in college, I can create videos about that, but just comment below and tell me. And like I said, I know decision day is coming up and all those other things, so if you guys are wanting, I will try to create that video as fast as possible. Thank you guys so much, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.